Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jon Borlin, and thank you for joining our session today. I'm on stage today with Joseph Surface, who is the head of sales for the Americas for AMA. And my name, again, is Jon Borlin. I'm part of MilliporeSigma. I'm a digital project manager. Part of my responsibilities is kind of taking a look at a lot of different innovations in digital tools and R&D that's out there to see how we can incorporate them into our business itself. So on to the next slide. Oh, I got the control. I'm sorry. All right. Okay. So just a brief couple slides on both our companies. So MilliporeSigma is part of Merck KGaA, which is out of Darmstadt, Germany. We are the U.S. legal entity of that company. As you can see, we've been founded quite a few years ago. We just celebrated our 350th anniversary. It's a large company. We're very global, as you can see with the numbers. We're spread across 66 different countries. We have approximately 60,000 colleagues within the company. MilliporeSigma is a global leader in life science, where we work with our partners to provide life-saving therapies and products. MilliporeSigma is committed to impacting life and health with science by fueling innovation, collaboration with our global community, and by encouraging people to challenge the status quo. That innovation is a key factor what we're going to be talking about here today, based upon the tool that we're going to be using here. So,
thanks, John. So my company, AMA Expert Eye, we are at its simplest form a remote collaborative software application for the deskless worker. And what do I mean by the deskless worker? The individual that's out in the field, the individual that is out in the plant floor, that remote worker that is assisted by simple technology that we call See What I See. So an expert on one end, remote work on the other. Our software assists in remote assistance, remote training, remote collaboration, remote compliance. We often see sometimes when there's an inexperienced worker or someone that's on the floor that may not have that expertise at another location. Well, we can assist in that. So when you're repairing anything on the floor or doing any kind of compliance or auditing, we can assist you by having an expert on one end of the other. We are a device agnostic software platform, which means you can operate our software through many different vessels, such as smart glasses, smartphones, microscopes, endoscopes, tablets. And so this gives us an advantage for that worker to connect to individuals via conference, via real-time audio, to be able to give direction to that person to make sure that that work is done correct. We also talk about that transfer of knowledge, which a gentleman talked about earlier. Being able to train, and be able to real live train when you're on that plant floor and you're transferring that knowledge from one generation to the next. And so manufacturing and medical, and so that's the other, we are in over 450 medical institutions and industrial manufacturing settings. And so being able to assist remotely and be able to have a assistance to companies like John's is really near and dear to us. And so we take this technology seriously. We also take education seriously for that frontline worker. And so we really pride ourselves into being that next generation technology for that frontline worker. John?
Okay. To give you a little bit of a time frame in terms of our partnership with AMA, we can kind of take a look at the slide here. Even before this, back in 2018, I actually went to the AES conference down in Austin and was fortunate enough to meet with AMA as they were one of the key vendors and kind of learned a lot more about the company and kind of started taking quite a few notes on what we can be doing in terms of our use case. I mean, what do we want to do? How are we wanting to provide a service for our company? So we started off very early on, this prior to COVID, with just 3 devices on it, a very simple POC. And we're making great progress with it. And then, of course, like with everybody else, COVID hit and everything kind of went crazy. So from our little POC with 3 glasses, we jumped into 30 glasses that were starting to be distributed all over the globe. From there, it got increased a little bit more in terms of about 190 devices, which went out to the larger life science business unit throughout the globe. And as we continued on, we started with more and more integration within the IT solution. So single sign-on integration, and we started branding the devices internally with the right branding of MilliporeSigma. So as of 2001 and 2002, again, we're starting to increase those deployed kits, and we're fully integrating integration of Expert Eye into the global IT support for MilliporeSigma. Some real quick motivation why we wanted to do this. We kind of recognized that early on that 75% of a lot of our audits. So again, audits, most companies have a different version of an audit. And when it comes to life science and pharma and chemical, there's a whole slew of different audits that we have to worry about. We have to worry about data. We have to worry about site audits. And of course, we have to worry about the quality and the regulatory audits. So this is when people usually come into a site and basically take a look at how things are done, what's being done correctly, to make sure that they want to either do business with us or make sure that everything's safe and good going on within the company. So we recognized that early on that 75% of those audits were being delayed just because of the capacity of the folks that actually do those kind of things. And not to mention that the fact that usually there had to be travel involved, there's expenses, we had to shut down sites for certain activities like this. So with this technology and with this platform, we were able to cut that down significantly. So being able to have 24/7 remote audits via a secure application and a device, which of course helped us increase our audit capacity and revenue opportunities by reducing those costs with travel and expenses. Next slide. Who's yours?
So as you see here, our workplace platform, So we have different versions of our software. One where, Expert Light, where you can access it just through a browser. Then we also have Expert Essential. So this is if you're in a hands-free environment. So someone that's, again, as I stated earlier, working on a control panel or working on outside, working on gaskets or piping, or if you're climbing up, doing some duct work in an industrial setting. And then the Expert Eye Advanced is where we use different vessels to access this. So if it doesn't have to be a hands-free environment, you can use your smartphone, you can use your tablet, you can use external sources. In surgery settings, medical settings, some doctors, we use OpSpots, we use microscopes to really go in and examine the situation at hand. And so that enables you to use all different outlets. We do have a partner. We do partner with a workflow management software company that provides checklists and documentation for companies that are issuing safety audits, compliance, and whatnot. And so online booking and scheduling as well. If you've ever had an experience where you go online to your doctor's portal and you want to set a schedule or set an appointment with that person, that's what that looks like, except this is in an industrial setting or a medical setting where you say, okay, I need an expert on Thursday. That person isn't available. Let me check someone else's schedule. You book that person so that they're there with you while you're doing the work virtually. So those are our platforms. Pretty simple, cut and dry, browser-based, smart glasses, then be able to access multiple vessels and microscopes, phones, tablets, workflow management software with our wearables, and then our online booking and scheduling. So we have a complete platform. So we just don't have one solution generally for anybody that comes to us. We can offer a multitude of applications for you. Real quick on this slide, so again, this is talking about that individual that is in front of wherever they're working in that workspace. You can do conference calls, one-on-one guest invitations by SMS or email. So we have multiple screens, up to 4 screens that you can work on, usually in a surgery type setting. But individuals can be invited without limit into a conference. And so you can have up to 30 people into a conference that are actually seeing and discussing what that person on the other end that you see right near the piping is looking at. And so that's how that we connect that. And we talk about the lock there, security. We are very cognizant of that. And so when you are finishing up a session, AMA does not keep any of that information. Now, as a company, you can download it if you've downloaded any documents to the software or to the session. If you've made any annotations, if you've made any corrections, statements, we can, because you can communicate via text with this software as well. If you don't save it, we eliminate it because we're very cognizant. We don't want that information being shared or even remotely try to be shared over our software over that network.
Okay. So the usage that we have today is truly worldwide. It's global. We have these devices in France, Germany, Ireland. I mean, pretty much everywhere in the Americas, Brazil, of course, here in the United States, and in our Pacific Rim customers in China, India, Japan, Singapore, and South Korea, as well as Australia. And as you can see, I mean, some of the stats below tell the tale of how well this platform has been for MilliporeSigma. Many different users. We can see that the constant increase of new users per month. Of course, with how much time, I mean, these are just basic analytics, but how much time our customers are using on certain calls. So some of the use cases. Now, I mean, these are all just a nice big list of use cases. In the next 2 slides, I'm actually going to drill down into the trainings and the audits one. But what we found out is with these different use cases, originally the plan was just to stick with remote audits. So we could basically communicate back and forth, like we described in the platform, between different sites. So what ended up started happening is our customers who had these headsets and the software itself, they started coming up with their own use cases and coming back to us and telling them about it. So virtual trainings, mentoring, project management, virtual tours. I mean, we had a customer in Book, Switzerland who put the headset on and started walking around the facility to show a customer. So these are just some of I mean, they're still coming in too in some of the use cases that we've identified. But the core use case that we looked at and took a lot of data on and started kind of pinpointing as to what we wanted to focus on was the remote audits. So starting to kind of, the last 2 slides, we kind of break down into a little bit in terms of those 2 cases with remote audits and with training. So of course, when it came to COVID, we were highly involved with a lot of different aspects of the vaccine development. MilliporeSigma makes quite a few different components. We focus a lot on basically the ingredients that go into certain applications or certain products. So the APIs, the active pharmaceutical ingredients, a lot of that stuff is manufactured by our company. So of course, on-site traveling to view different manufacturing processes was not possible during COVID. Thus, the solution was to bring on Expert Eye and to provide our customers an ability to do what they needed to do with those remote audits and quality controls of those products, which were very, very much they needed at the time. Customers were able to actually use the certain different tools within the Expert Eye application for pointer functionality, highlighting areas, and of course, taking pictures and annotations of certain aspects that they need to do. One of the other key components to the whole system was this is a hands-free solution. So basically, what we were able to do is folks that were in the labs or in a clean room or something, they didn't have to hold a phone or hold an iPad or hold a camera or something like that. They basically just have their headset on and they're talking through it and then making annotations as they needed as they went along with the collaboration of a team. All right. And the last one was, of course, remote training. So again, the challenge was with COVID is with the increase in demand of what was needed within our company, we had to kind of juggle around, redistribute amongst the production facilities, a lot of these different pieces that we had to put together for our customers. So there was no on-site traveling for training. Thus, we needed a way to train our customers in a way that we would cut down, of course, on training or cut down on travel and the certain ways we used to do things prior before that. So the solution again was using the expert eye to exchange experience and know-how between expertises within our company. The change process of the new employees, training them basically to onboard them with using the smart glasses for virtual tours and on the premises, so they knew where they were going and what they were doing on site. Some of the other quick wins, I guess I could kind of go through. Using the technology and everything back in 2020, we had an investment relations call with some of the execs within MilliporeSigma and our KGAA, and we showcased this technology with them with a whole close to 20 different investors with our leadership, and use this technology to actually jump from one location in Boston and then actually go over to Molsheim, France to show another location in real time. Which was very well received. I think that's about it. Yeah, I think that's it. So thank you. This has been a great opportunity, and thank you AMA for inviting us to present with them, and thank you for Jeff for asking us to come down and speak with you all.
Time for a question. There's also, I think, a couple on the app. If we don't have any right here, just anyone have one? Oh, coming over. You could just tell us your name, your organization, context.
Sure, thanks. Hi, this is Grace Cow. I'm in Edwards Life Sciences, based in Irvine, California.
Okay.
Pretty close here. We're the medical device company, make the heart valves and some hemodynamic monitoring. That's our major products. So I heard that you're mainly used for the audits, the remote audits. So our company also does that a lot. So I want to ask you that you both probably, is that the audits is external, right? External agencies?
It can be, yeah. We had a couple of different instances where they were external and within internal folks as well.
So those augmented reality, do you need their approval before you use it?
Yes. I mean,
Yes.
That's early communicated on, just to make sure that they're aware. Of course, with any kind of new technology we bring on, we wanted to make sure they're aware of the possibility of things not being exactly how they were before. So it was a learning experience, of course, for us and for them. But
because you need their approval, and then they accept your methods,
yes.
right?
And sometimes it wouldn't totally replace a full audit. This may be like a preliminary step for them
I see.
to do the full audit.
So you actually, they have the device, like or you need to mail them the devices.
They would get the device, or we would swap it out. Either we had the headset or vice versa. So.
Oh, okay. The other thing I've heard that this morning, a lot of case studies and then talk about how to measure the effectiveness or the success, right?
Sure.
And then most of the people says the cost impact. I know that this investment is not a very small amount of money, right? So how you envision and how long or how many years time frame you can get the investment return?
Well, we did some early calculations in terms of how much time we would spend to travel, how much time it would spend to actually set up the lab to make sure that it was ready, in certain aspects around expenses and certain things like that. So we did have some early numbers that we could use to justify the certain costs that we had setting up the platform and everything. And we continue to make a lot of different measurements on that return, as well as how well it was embraced and how much more we can do in the future.
Okay.
And I'll say this when you talk about ROI with our platform. So John talks about travel, and for most cases, our license is less than a plane ticket from San Diego to Raleigh, where we're located in the U.S. And I've been an auditor. I worked for BSI. I was telling the joke, when I walk into a facility, or when I walked into a facility, they looked at me like I was the Grim Reaper. I mean, I was an external auditor. And so most of the times when you do an internal audit, you sort of, some areas can be glossed over that shouldn't be glossed over. And then when I would come in and do an audit, I would see non-conformances and I would see what were you doing to correct them. And so I would say, what would that cost you to be penalized by OSHA? What would that cost you to be penalized by a governing body to make sure that you got this right with an expert? And so, yeah, we talk about the travel costs. We talk about worker time, doing that and expertise, that transfer of knowledge. But again, near and dear to me is that audit. You're doing that internal audit. Well, when the external audit comes in, because it has to happen, what does that cost in time and frustration and documentation? So that's what you have to figure out. And so when we ask these questions, like you're talking about security and having the headsets go to different locations, we sign NDAs. We make sure in the sales process when we're talking to our clients and and new customers as well, is that we're uncovering, what are you going to be using this for? What is it? And in some cases, we'll turn away and say, this isn't the right application for you. But in most cases, when we've done our due diligence, we have shown ROI within less than 30 to 60 days for our software and our equipment.
Okay, this is very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Time for one more, I think. If anyone has one. All right. Matt, yeah, just give your name and your organization codes, contacts.
My name is Matt Leshko. Work for Transocean. So we have offshore drilling rigs, and they're in low bandwidth or no bandwidth situations. So does Expert Eye have any replication solutions or anything that would support that?
So we do, and that's one of the other prerequisites we ask is, what kind of an environment is the headset or the software? What kind of environment you're going to be connecting in? And so we work very well in low bandwidth environments, but in most cases we provide a SIM card that we partner with the company to give you access that's able to pick up, whether it's Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T. It can pick up the strongest signal available. We also have dongles that we can attach to the actual headsets to help for connectivity. And let's be honest, it's not going to be perfect at all times. There's going to be some times where connectivity is going to be a challenge no matter what you use. But we map that out before we bring that on to the prospect or the existing client, because we don't want to promise you're going to get connectivity on the moon and then you don't get it. And then that makes us look bad. So we work off of, if you do something good for somebody, they know one person. If you do something bad, they know 10. Okay. And so that connectivity issue is one of the main reasons why usage can be down. So if you identify that up front and early, then we can make the proper recommendations to be able to access our software and to be able to use it effectively.
Thank you.